Could we finally see some movement this week, according to reports? Perhaps in a key position, I think a lot of us are clamoring for here at the club. Could some youngsters get some more minutes this preseason and maybe even into next season as well? We're going to talk about that as well as United's preseason rolls on with a big win over Atletico Madrid. We are back with the news roundup, you guys. We are talking all things left backs. We're talking potential exits. We are talking the overall state of the squad as well, because I want to know what you guys think about how prepared and how ready and how capable this squad is for Champions League football. But we're doing all that, you guys. This is United vs. Everybody, the channel for the Snapdragon champions, by the way. So make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, please. We are going to go ahead and get stuck in with the news roundup, you guys. So I will be right back. How's everybody's day going? It's Monday. I know sometimes Mondays can be a little hit or miss on Mondays, but it is what it is. But I'm always happy to hang out with everybody, see what everybody has going on, and hear how everyone's weekend is going. Pretty quiet weekend, obviously. We'll talk about the Atletico Madrid game as well, but pretty quiet weekend overall. But let me jump into the live chat first and foremost and get stuck in with see who's here in the chat. Ian's in the house. Big up, Ian. Having to work today. Ian is working today. Yeah, a little earlier today. I got a lot of stuff going on right now. Obviously, no content over the weekend. It was nice to get a weekend off, but like I said the other day, stuff going on behind the scenes. Might have to take a couple days off here and there depending on what's going on. So just thought I'd give you guys a heads up. But it was one of those situations. But Ian's working, no problem. Gotta respect the hustle. Dana B's in the house, 50-60. Yep, already get involved in the chat. I do have a poll in there for you guys, so go ahead and get involved in that poll. Let me know your thoughts as we cruise along with some of these topics. Debassi's in the house. Big up Debassi as well. Hope you guys are all having a good day, a good start to the week. I always like to start the week strong. I like to get some laundry going, get some good walks outside and going, get a good workout. Starting strong, right? You guys are funny. Oh boy. So let's get started with some news. Obviously, this is a news roundup. We're going to chat about all that and everything. The club has announced that women's head coach, Mark Skinner, has departed the club. We all kind of know what that means. Typically, departed means sacked. In this case, I'm not sure though. The Guardian claims that the transfer strategy for the women's team, and many of you would probably argue, and with justification, would argue that the club's overall transfer strategy could have been a factor in this. Reportedly, according to the Guardian, Skinner was not happy about the investment of the rivals of the Women's Super League. The Chelseas, the Cities, the Arsenals, compared to what United were doing. United haven't really spent a whole lot of money on the women's team in a while. We've been seeing a lot of free signings come through. And I don't mind free signings. Free signings aren't necessarily bad, but then we also sold Melvin Marlard for a fee, a record fee, obviously, but it's still, we sold one of our better attackers to Chelsea. Not a good look. I'm sure that didn't help. United, however, according to the Guardian, reportedly don't believe that sort of level of spending is sustainable in the women's league, in the women's side of things. They prefer to develop their own talent in that aspect. To an extent, I understand that thing. Like, if you look at the money in the Women's Super League, even in the Women's Champions League, it's not a lot. Like, spending $850,000 on Melvin Mallard, which is what Chelsea spent, by the way, to us, watching the first team a lot, it doesn't sound like a lot, but in the women's game, that's a hefty fee. Again, record fee, and you're never really going to see that at all. Even if you win everything there is to win in a given season as a club in the women's league, it's not worth spending $850,000 on a player. The winner of the Women's Super League, for instance, only gets $100,000. Not a whole lot. Even if you win the Champions League, you're not anywhere near breaking even. So I can understand to an extent, but at the same time, And we've said this many times, football isn't necessarily about spreadsheets. It's not about pluses and minuses in the red, in the black. It's about trophies. So if the club wants to win trophies on the women's side, that's where they need to go. Obviously, a lot of people are not big fans of Mark Skinner. I wouldn't say I follow the overall Women's Super League enough to say whether or not I'm a fan of Mark Skinner. We do watch a little bit of the Women's League and over here on MUTV and whatnot on ESPN, but I haven't seen a whole lot wrong. I think he's really been hamstrung by the fact that he's up against teams like Chelsea, Arsenal, City, who have really good players, and United keep letting go of their better players and not really adequately replacing them. So it is what it is, unfortunately, but we'll see what happens. Let's see. Danny thinks he walked because of again, according to The Guardian, there's a discrepancy over the club's transfer strategy with the women's team. And that's why I said some of you might think it's an overall Ineos thing. Now, to be fair to Ineos, which sounds weird, right? Because reasons. It's not as if this is a sole women's team. Like so many people, Casey Stoney, some of these other players and coaches have left the women's team in the past. I mean, the women's team's only been around for like a decade. They've walked because of the way the club has just neglected the women's team. Well ahead of the Ineos showing up. I mean, when it first started, I mean, the women didn't have a dedicated restroom. They had to go walk across and go to like a porta john basically. Like they don't really care that much about the women's team. Unfortunately, I mean, I think they got kicked out of their training ground when Carrington was getting revamped as well. I'm not sure. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem if somebody else wanted to take over the women's team. Like Chelsea sold their women's team, I guess, to themselves. But again, it's if you're not going to take care of it, that's when I'm like, it's time to go. And I feel the same about the first team too. If you're not going to really invest, if you're not going to take care of it, if you're not serious about it, if you're going to pull the Newcastle right, and you're just going to sell, and maybe just run out the door with your pockets lined with cash instead of actually investing, then you should just go. Like, what's the point, right? Like, it's just weird. But it is what it is. Not everyone is a big fan of watching the women's. It's not I just watch it when it's on, when I'm home, because it's United, so I do support United. So there are some good players in the side, but we're just losing them. Like Earps was a really good player. We do got some good players though. I think we've lost some ones recently as well, unfortunately. So, but we'll see. We will see what happens. But yeah, not everyone follows the women's team. It's not a big deal. There's no judgment. Let's chat about preseason. I know you guys have probably already spoken about it a little bit. Obviously, we played Atletico Madrid in Stockholm early. It was early for me on Saturday. I guess not early. 9 a.m. is not that early. And I guess it was a final of sorts. A final, a trophy, a cup match put on by our shirt sponsor, named after our shirt sponsors, because it was the Snapdragon Cup. I had no idea it was the Snapdragon Cup match for this preseason. Kind of weird. But thought it was really, really weird that Snapdragon decides to go. Did they do this last summer too? I don't remember. Someone's got to remind me. Just bring back the Malaysian Cup. That one actually had some prestige to it, right? But I don't know how you guys felt about watching this one. Is once again reminding me, and again, I don't need reminding. I'm pretty staunchly against La Liga sides. I'm not a fan of La Liga sides, just in general. I'm going to put this back up this way. I don't like the other way. I can't stand La Liga sides. I hate when we get drawn against them in Europe. I hate that we had to play them. Preseason is literally just diving in drama from the get-go from Atleti. Just annoying, man. Just really annoying. And the joke I say all the time is, like, when you're a footballer, literally every bone's connected to the head bone, because if you get kicked in the toe, you grab your face. You get elbowed in the ribs, you grab your face. And these Atleti players, man, just in true La Liga fashion, just going to ground, histrionics, drama, just annoying the heck out of me, dude. But you still have to play them. So some sloppy defending early on in the box saw us concede a goal. Honestly, it was just a simple cross into the box from not even super close outside, but nobody dealt with it. Literally, no one even tries to clear it. I'm pretty sure I saw Harry Maguire pull his head away from it. I think by the time it got to him, he wasn't expecting it and he wasn't quite prepared for it, and so he didn't want it to deflect. But at the same time, it's kind of, I could argue that it's kind of indicative of my biggest gripe with Harry Maguire is that defending the box, he's not front foot. He doesn't defend in the front foot. He doesn't go and attack these balls. is constantly on the back foot, and that's to me that's like a mentality thing, which is why I never wanted him to have the armband. I just don't think he has that mentality, that kind of assertiveness. But literally, just nobody goes and clears that. It goes over about 3 United players. Tom Heaton, I don't blame Tom Heaton for it. It is what it is. That ball should have never gotten into that position. And it's the same shit, different year. Just bad defending in the box. We've seen it time and time again from United. Nobody goes and attack. I barely see anybody ever jump when an opponent puts a ball into the box. It's super annoying to watch. But we did respond well, though. I thought we were arguably the better side overall. Shea Lacey did well to win that pen. He looked really good, a little dangerous. You're seeing a lot of interchange and fluidity from the front line behind that striker. You're seeing some of these wingers drop into central positions. You're seeing wingers kind of cut across the center of the pitch when the strikers got the ball to kind of get involved in some of those 1-2s and that interchange in the final third, which could be indicative of the way Carrick wants to play, right? We're going to talk about that a little bit ahead of the first match of the season. So keep a lookout for the first match preview. It's coming up pretty soon, a couple weeks. So we'll play Hull to kick off the season. So I've got that one in the chamber. But yeah, Shea Lacey did well to win the pen, which Mbumo put away. Then Mbumo scored another one, which ended up being the winner as it did end 2-1 United. What did you guys make of it? Obviously, it's preseason, so you guys know I'm not like reading too much into anything. All I can comment on is what I see, right, based on the performance. That's all anybody can do. But like I said, I did think overall we were the better side. I thought Yoro was absolutely immense, not playing his natural position. Obviously, he's been playing right back because we don't have any right backs fit yet from the World Cup. A couple of them, our right backs just showed up today to Carrington after their vacation. So maybe now we'll see Yoro play. But I think it's good for him to maybe stretch that muscle a little bit, get used to maybe we know Yoro was one of his best attributes as a defender is that recovery, defending those final 10 yards or so, putting in some challenges. And he did that again. I thought he was immense. Thought Dorgu and Lacey looked good, very direct, very drawing a lot of fouls. Obviously, Lacey won the pen. I thought Mason Mount actually looked pretty solid in midfield. Not saying like some of the people are talking about that maybe we should play him deep. I don't want to do that, but he does present a good option in midfield for rotation. I don't like that, but you got to give flowers where they're due. He looked good in that role. I thought Luke Shaw did well. I think I think that the days of Luke Shaw bombing forward, overlapping are long behind us, but I do think for what he is now, he does well. He's almost playing as a wide center back, stepping up, constantly nicking out danger when he sees it approaching, stepping up to the challenges. It's really good. I have no problem with what he did. Right place, right time is pretty much going to be the name of the game for Luke Shaw from now on. Andre Santos looking better and better. He looks like I watch him play Andre Santos, and he looks like a combination of like Nemanja Matic and Casemiro, or like Nemanja Matic and like Carrick or something. Not quite a full-on deep line playmaker, not quite a full-on destroyer, but he's able to kind of defend on the back foot. He's able to kind of muscle and shoulder, but he's also really capable of playing those threaded balls that break defensive lines and kind of go from his third to the final third in the blink of an eye, which is really good trait for him to have. It's been a while since we've had midfielders that can do that from deep positions. Casemiro was good at those kind of balls over the top and down the channels, but we don't have anyone really besides maybe like Licha or Heaven or Bruno who will fizz those balls in along the ground. So it's good to see a midfielder who's capable of doing that. Obviously, I think Tielemans will contribute there as well. But what did you guys make of Andre Santos? If you want to learn a little bit more about him, there is that link in the description to the deep dive I did on him before we signed him. Let me get involved in the chat while we talk about this. Danny's got some scouting. Danny's always watching the South American League. Basti says, yes, we beat someone in the final to get to the Snapdragon Cup. Yes. Snapdragon Cup is ours. We are the Snapdragon champions. Campeones. Let's see. Danny says, conceding 2 soft crosses in preseason. Yeah, it's not... That's something that, again, it's kind of like... And I feel like I've been saying this since Ten Hag took over. Like, it's not his fault, Carrick, right? But it is his responsibility to find a way to fix it, to tell these defenders, whenever we're defending the box, like, someone's got to go and attack that ball, both before it gets delivered and at any point in time. Because like I said, that ball's put in the box too easily. Nobody really put any pressure on it. and it goes over like 3 United players before it gets to Heaton and goes into that far post. It's just embarrassing. We've been conceding goals like that for years because nobody does a great job of defending the box. It's not ideal, man. But we'll see. I agree Danny Shaw can't be first choice, but I think that for what he is, when you need that kind of profile, profile in a given match or something, maybe you got to see out a result. Maybe when we're defending a lead and the opposition's maybe going to try to hoof it long or find a wide player with some switches, someone like Shaw, bringing him on or even starting him in some matches when we need it, is going to be ideal. Plus, he is a good personality to have in the dressing room, I think. So I'll probably just be fine letting him walk away in a year, unless somebody puts an offer in for him. But he definitely wouldn't be my first choice. We really didn't start looking at overlapping some of the replacements. Like, keep Shaw, get his replacement in, work him in and out. Same with Bruno. Keep Bruno, obviously, but get someone who's we're going to be looking at for the replacement for that and start kind of working them into the side a little bit. I think is a good strategy to have. Ian says, even though it was just preseason, you could see flashes and glimpses of real good performances. Yoro, Lacey, Ahmad. Yeah, Ahmad looked good as well. But I thought, yeah, I have thoughts on Mbumo though too. Dabasi says Lacey has earned his right to be with the first team. Yeah, Lacey's obviously been in and out of the first team. Obviously, he got suspended. He got second yellow. Where was that? Was that against Brighton? I can't remember. Obviously, and then he had some personal stuff going on with his family, so he was out of the spotlight for a while. But he's back. The problem is, maybe it won't be as big of an issue now that we've got this kind of fluid interchanging front three. But Lacey, Bumo, and Ahmad are all basically the same kind of player. They're all left footers who play on the right hand side. Now, I would argue that Lacey and Ahmad, in my opinion, as of right now, are going to be ahead of Mbumo if you just go by performances that we've seen these last month or so. But again, you don't spend that much money on Mbumo not to start him. But again, you do if it hurts the team if he's playing. So let's see. Ian says also Santos is impressive. Yeah, he's got a high ceiling. I'm happy with that. Very, very happy. Hasib, welcome to the channel. Has a question. Says, what do you think about Lenny at right back? Can Carrick try 3 back in possession if we get Hall, Lenny be the third center back? Yeah, I mean, he's been playing there preseason. I think it's preseason, so I think it's just needs must because Dallo and Mazraoui were not back from World Cup quite yet. So it is what it is. I think that we obviously don't focus too much on formation, like we've said many times. When we're building out, we do tend to swap to like a 3 at the back and one side. I don't have a problem with that either. I don't want Lenny Euro cannot be our right back. We've already got 2 right backs technically, and Dorgu can play there as well. Like I don't think that's what anyone sees him at. I think that's just preseason. That's what we have. Like that's just the way it is. I don't think anyone sees Mbumo as a striker. But Shesko's injured, and Xerxes not necessarily a goal scorer, an out-and-out goal scorer. So it's preseason. It's need must. It's fitness. And I like that. Like I said, I do like that it's allowing Yoro to kind of flex a different muscle in terms of a player, helps him kind of get used to driving forward when it's needed. So I don't have a problem with it. But let me know what you think. I want to know what you guys think. Random Idiot says in the house, I wonder what Sancho is going to do with all this freedom. I mean, he can do whatever he wants. You guys know me. I don't have any bad feelings once you're out of here. I just you're no longer my concern. He's not my club. It's not my problem anymore. So let him go be somebody else's problem personally. So see, Dabas says Lenny doesn't give me confidence. I mean, he looked good. Obviously, it's not his natural position, so I'm not going to go in too harshly on him for not looking like a natural right back. Right? It's not his position. Same way, I don't go too harshly on Mbumo for playing striker. It's not his natural role. All I'll say is I just don't like him there. So I don't blame him for it. I just don't like him there. But we also saw in this one the debuts, I guess not official debuts, right? But the first team debuts for JJ Gabriel and Jimmy Thwaites. I thought Thwaites looked tidy on the ball. He played a really silky ball out wide. I don't know if you guys caught that. Ball was kind of bouncing around our midfield. We were kind of doing some keep away. Ball came to Xerxes, who kind of played a little bit of a hospital ball. He leaned back too far and he kind of lobbed it to Thwaites. But Thwaites, and we've seen Thwaites do this many times if you guys watch the academy, just caught it on the volley, got his hips over it, and just drilled it out wide just perfectly to find. I think it was Amas he found out wide in that role. And those are kind of balls Thwaites just plays in his sleep. Like he's so good on the ball. JJ obviously a lot of cheers when he came on. I'll say this about JJ. He's very, 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 very good. Like, very good. Probably one of the better academy players that I've seen come through the academy in a long, long time. And he's still just 15. We need to keep him grounded. I know he's getting a lot of hype. Obviously, he got a lot of cheers. We need to keep his ego in check. And that's not me saying he has one, but we as fans need to make sure we don't give him too big of a self-image. Don't give him too much hype, because there's an easy chance that he starts believing it, that he goes down the Garnacho route, for instance. Need to keep him level, need to keep him humble, need to keep him hungry. He needs a season in the under 21s. Maybe domestic cups or something, we bring him on the bench or something, but he needs a season in the under 21s, for my opinion. And then we can talk. I know that this day and age everyone's hyping up stuff, but let's keep him humble and do what we can to kind of keep his feet on the ground and his head out of the clouds, because it's really like a flip of a coin how easily young players can go down the overhyped kind of self-indulgent route versus the humble route. So, and a lot of it does have to do with social media. A lot of it does have to do with the club. A lot of it does have to do with the people they have around them. So hopefully JJ's got some good people around them as well. So hopefully. Danny says, we've seen two different patterns in the first phase. Sometimes two center back and center mid. Sometimes, yeah, and that's something we're going to talk about in the match preview for Hull, because what we've seen from the midfield pivot is generally one of the midfielders is going to stay deep and the other one's going to maybe venture forward to get involved in the press and stuff. And there's like they're doing more vertical stuff, and we saw a little bit of that prior to Carrick even arriving as well. Very vertical pivot at times when United were in possession and building up. I think it's pretty standard for football these days, but I think that Michael Carrick is starting to maybe implement a little bit more of his exploitation and use of space as well. We knew that. I mean, if you watch the video I did when we appointed him, I kind of explained how his whole philosophy, his whole system, it is very Spanish style oriented. It is very space, triangles, quick balls. We've seen flashes of it here and there as well. And I think you've seen it as well in preseason, the creation of space, midfielders dropping a little deep, attackers dropping or pressing high. And that under normal circumstances, we might say, well, we're leaving too much space. I think Carrick wants to create that space to force the opposition to play risky balls they don't want to place, to allow our players to be able to drift into empty space, to get on the end of things when we're on the ball as well. I think there's a difference in the way it happens. I think it's by design. Let's see here. Random Media says, seems the club might be prepping Lacey for the 10 role live. Yeah, I think that right now it's needs must. We don't really have any midfielders. It's literally just been Andre Santos and Mason Mount. So again, it's the same reason Yora's playing right back. And I do think that the wingers and the 10s are kind of, and even the striker are pretty interchanging and free-flowing so far during preseason. But I mean, Lacey's a winger. I'd rather keep him as a winger personally, but I don't think that the formation on paper is going to mean as much in different situations on the pitch. I think these players are going to do what they need to do. But it is good, again, kind of like Euro flexing a different muscle as a right back. Lacey learning how to work in more congested areas. He's used to getting some chalk on his boots on that touchline. He's used to kind of having that kind of space as his own. It's good to maybe teach him how to work in space a little bit more. So I don't have a problem with that whatsoever. Hasib says, for Lacey, it will be easier to start in a wing and then maybe he develops as a 10. Yeah, maybe it'll be like a Foden or a Palmer thing where he's, maybe on the ball, starting out in wide positions, great. But I mean, we know that he's not bad in those tight areas. He wants to cut inside and shoot onto his left. But learning how to receive the ball with your back to goal, learning how to play little 1-2s in those more central half spaces could be a good little skill to develop. But I do like it. So let's see. Like I said, I don't like Mbumo as the 9. I'm not really a fan of that unless you're going to play really quick counterattack, like almost long ball football to find him on the break when you're playing against opposition who plays a high line. I don't like it. We don't play the ball forward quickly enough, consistently enough to play him there. He's not great with his back to goal. We saw, I mean, again, he scored 2 goals, right? He got the brace, but I don't think he looks super comfortable. Some of his passing and his touches have just been very sloppy, and it's not great. I don't think he enjoys playing there. We know he doesn't. We know how aggravated and annoyed he looked last season when he had to play there time and again, and he did not look like he enjoyed it. It doesn't look like, I mean, he wants to play there, and I don't blame him. He's not a striker, right? He's a right winger. Like, let's play, and we paid 60 some odd million for him. Let's play him on the right wing. Now the problem is that we've also got Ahmad, who's also very good there. Lacey's coming through as well, so maybe one of these wingers is going to have to learn how to play on the left. So I want to use Mbumo's pace more than I want to use his hold up play or his 1-2s. Like, that's where his bread and butter is. Give the ball in the space and let him combine on the right hand side. I just don't get why we're doing it, but again, it's preseason, so it is what it is. Bilal in the house. Big up, Bilal. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Tobias says, hope he doesn't use Mbumo as a 9. Yeah, you can't use quick players against low blocks. It just doesn't work. And if you're playing a low block, you're either playing a bottom half table team or you're playing a team who's defending a lead, like an Everton or something, which the low block just doesn't help. We saw that with Amarim, when we lost to Everton. What was that, 1-0? Said he didn't have anything that players didn't unlock. He did not play Cobby. Cobby could have done really well to unlock that Everton defense, but he opted just to do that. I thought we saw it in the final against Spurs a year ago when, Spurs went up a goal, and then he brings on the players like Garnacho and whatnot. Like, what are you going to do? Spurs are literally just parking the bus now and defending the lead because they can. There's like, Garnacho's wasted here. You just like completely got that backwards, dude. So it is what it is. What? Hasib going pretty hard on Dorgu. I'm not sure what the issue is with Dorgu. Dorgu, I think, is a good player. I think some people expect the finished article, and I think people understand he's not a finished article quite yet. I thought he did well against Atletico. He was direct. He was taking on players, getting into good positions, winning fouls on the edge of the box because he was just using a little bit of footwork to stymie their young right back. I thought Dorgu looked good. I don't have a problem with Dorgu, but hopefully you guys are. We'll see. Yeah, let me know. Let me know how you're doing. So. Hammer was someone else's problem. He's also someone else's problem. So it's funny, but yeah, I don't really like Mbumo as the 9. But again, I think it's needs must. So it is what it is. Let's move on, shall we? Let's talk a little bit about this left back situation. Now I know Danny is being pretty we'll call it pessimistic, glass half empty. We'll call it. Because we did speak the other day. Ian was on the show. We talked a lot about a lot of the shakeups going on over at Newcastle United right now. A lot of chaos, just players walking out the door, managers walking out the door, not really doing a decent enough job to strengthen. I would say I would worry about Newcastle, but it's not my club, so don't worry. But like Ian said, this to me looks like these owners just trying to get money by just selling a bunch of players and then leaving, I guess. I mean, we've already saw Amanda Stavely leave, these new owners who were supposed to be the richest owners in football, but again, doesn't matter. Everyone's got to follow the same financial regulations, unless you're Man City or Chelsea, apparently. But again, all this chaos. We spoke about how this could present a unique opportunity for United to swoop for long reported target Lewis Hall. Now, we've seen reports. Reportedly, he's open to joining United if the opportunity arrives. I'm not sure what we're waiting for, but Sully Talks claims another step has been taken in this whole Lewis Hall saga. Claims that United have planned talks with Newcastle to explore the possibility of Lewis Hall. Contact with his camp has already taken place. So again, we've seen United trying to get that buy-in from the player. We've seen reports Hall is open to the move. I don't see why he wouldn't be. Newcastle are not in Europe right now. They clearly don't have any ambition to do anything. They're selling all their better players. They've already sold Tonali. Trippier's gone. They've already, looks like Bruno Guimaraes could be going as well. Sold Isak, barely replaced him. Like, Wissa is not a replacement. Woltamata, not a replacement. Anthony Gordon is gone as well. Now, they did well. I thought Basman Torre was a good pickup. Sean Storer is a good pickup, but it's not enough. Sean Storer is like a 17-year-old kid who's fresh out of like the Ajax Academy last season. He's not ready. As much as I like him, you guys know I did a scout reporting on him, and obviously Basman Torre was in my top 21 under 21 video. That is in the description as well if you guys want to go check that one out. But again, Newcastle just not really showing a ton of ambition there. But But again, apparently, according to Sully Talks and a lot of sources, Lewis Hall is our number one left back target. But it is a difficult position. Obviously, Newcastle got a lot of money. They're not super pressured to sell right now. But the issue here, then another factor I think that helps us is he's only on 45,000 a week. Lewis Hall, like that's nothing. So we need to swoop before Newcastle try to tie him down to a new contract. Now again, he doesn't have to sign a new contract. A lot of players don't do that. Van Hecke didn't do that as at Spurs, for instance. But 45K a week is just nothing. Like Bazumana Torre, who they just signed from Hoffenheim, who's had like one season, right? He was signed. He's already on 70K a week. They're paying their brand new signing 25,000 more a week than they are paying one of their better players and arguably one of the best left backs in the league in Lewis Hall. And that's insane. And so that's the kind of thing you look at them and say, like, we'll double your money, man. We'll put you on, like, we could put him on 90 to 100K a week, and that's not anywhere near breaking our wage structure. It's probably commensurate with what he's got. And even in a couple of years, when it comes time to look at new contracts, you put another 50,000 on top of that. You're only paying him 150,000. This is how you sign new players, especially young players, at United. You don't grab Jade Sancho and throw him 300K a week. And like, what was going to be what was the goal there? What was the next step in that process? It's just ridiculous. Now, yes, I think Lewis Hall could very well end up being our most expensive signing of the summer if this is what we're getting. I don't think, like, I've seen Newcastle supporters online, like I watched Flex meet with one the other day on United View, claim that 80, 90 million would start the conversation. Like, I think, first of all, clearly unbiased, right? Newcastle supporter, of course they're going to say that. I've seen some Newcastle reporters saying 110 million. Like, let's all just take a second and like fall back down to reality. That's not going to happen. Like, this scenes when he goes for like 70 mil, including add-ons, and these Newcastle supporters are going to absolutely riot. I'm talking riot because, again, all Lewis Hall has to do is refuse a new contract and just request a transfer, and all of a sudden any 80, 90 million dreams are dropping down to that 60, 70 million level. But you guys let me know what you think. I put a poll in the chat. What would you end up, what would your offer be? What would your biggest and best offer be for Lewis Hall if you were United's director of football? 20% say 40, 50 million, so not a lot of, 20% of you not rating him too highly. 20% say 50, 60 million. 60% say 60 to 70 million. So that offer means including the add-ons as well. But what are you guys thinking here in the chat? Let me get back in here. Gotta scroll down. I gotta figure out where I am here. There we go. Dabasi wants a left winger. I think we've got plenty of wingers, honestly, if we really deep it. I mean, we just signed that one from Spurs too, who is probably right there with Lacey in terms of first team ready kind of levels, according to a lot of Spurs fans. To me, left back, we've only got Shaw. I don't know where the club sees Dorgu. Anytime Dorgu's played under Carrick, he's played him in that left wing role. I think that, I mean, it's nice that Dorgu can play a couple different positions, but I think that I do want someone who's going to be able to come in and take over for Shaw as well. Yeah, I did see that, Danny. Miko Hot's PSG. Again, I just don't think left wing is a priority right now for us. We just bought Cunha, and we can argue all day that Cunha is better centrally, but that's just not where he's going to play. So to me, it's a moot argument at this point. So it is what it is. Hasib says, Hall ain't happening. Ineos need to sack that Hargreaves guy. He can't negotiate for anything. We might not have even started. Supposedly, we've reached out to Hall's camp. Now, again, sometimes it's not just about going and getting the player right away. Sometimes all clubs, not just United, sometimes all clubs, they wait, until clubs start spending like crazy. Like Newcastle will have to replace a lot of players, and they need some more money. Hall might and if they don't, Hall might look at that and see that as just a complete lack of ambition, and just say, like, I want to go. Like, and he just could have a brain and choose United. It's not the first time so many players had a chance to go to Newcastle, and we ended up swooping him. How many players in Newcastle go for that other clubs just picked up? It happens. It does happen. Yeah, we don't have a great... I think Vavell is a good scout, and Wilcox seems to have a knack for finding some academy talent in England, but we haven't had a great track record of negotiation for a long, long time. Danny's saying 60 mil, take it or leave it. Yeah, I'd probably open up with something like a 55, 60 million offer with like 8 million or so in add-ons that push it up to like a 70 million package. Again, I worry less and less about the overall fee in terms of what we have to pay. I do get concerned when a player is massively overpriced because I think that on principle alone it's just ridiculous. Like I just think, and the fans who are out here like just put the money on the table. Like I'm like that's ridiculous. Like come on, because these are the same fans who were complaining when we spent 80 something on Harry Maguire and whatnot. Like you can't have it both ways. And again, what it comes down to is that people it's just subjective. Some fans would be willing to pay more for a certain player, and other fans weren't, and that's fine. But we can't just apply that as some universal rule. I saw a clip of the guy who runs the Big United channel, comparing what he said when he complained about how much we spent on Harry Maguire, and now he's complaining that we didn't put 85 million down on for Mateus Fernandez. Like, again, it is what it is, and I get that people's opinions change, but you don't get to just pretend that you didn't complain about overspending. Again, it's going to come down to the player, and I think that for United, that's the same case. We're willing to spend a little bit more when the player is worth a little bit. We weren't willing to put all that money up front for Mateus Fernandez, and let's not pretend like Spurs aren't giving him crazy wages as well. Like that's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Where's the marquee UCL experience? I'm not sure that was the plan. I think that's obviously been reported, but I also think that what we've seen is that a lot of the journalists don't have a clue what's going on with United right now. Nobody saw Santos or Tielemans coming like at all. So I think that I think that a lot of journalists and fans kind of looked at it from the perspective and kind of tried to put two and two together and say, well, we're in a midfield rebuild. We need a good midfielder. Obviously, that's going to be the marquee signing. Like I said, Lewis Hall could very well be our most expensive signing of the summer if it's something that we're going for. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Yeah, Danny, everyone's jumping on Sanderberg now. Yeah, there are a lot of midfielders out there. Obviously, one of my big targets went to Brentford and Mamadou Sangare. There are some good talents out there, though. There's still guys like Lamine Kamara, Lucien Agume, Arthur Avom as well. There's a lot of good players out there. Keep looking around. If you're looking for someone a little bit more defensive-minded or a little bit more Casemiro-esque, I did do a video on that a couple months ago. You can go check that out. Obviously, one of them is off the table now. Ian says he's happy to pay 70 million because it future-proofs the left-back situation for the next 10 years. Easy work. Yeah, I know you kind of added another layer to this the other day, Ian, kind of breaking it down by year. You spend 70 million package on Hall. And that's, and if he's here for a decade, that turns into 7 million per year. I mean, that's nothing really in the grand scheme of things. I put it out there. Maybe you offer Harry Amas or a youngster, or even see if Shaw might be interested in going over there, and maybe you just keep Harry Amas and you've got Lewis Hall at United, and they rotate. I've seen us randomly linked to a Santander left back too. I don't know where those links came from. I think those are rubbish. Personally, why would we sign an 18-year-old from Racing Santander when Harry Amas could be going out the door? I don't get it. The boss says Hall suits United. I like Lewis Hall a lot. He's a very good ball progressor with the ball at his feet. He plays these nice little lobs over the top and around the corners of fullbacks and whatnot to find runners. He's really good at combining in wide areas, which I think suits Michael Carrick's system to a T as well. He's physical. He's aggressive. We saw him in the Champions League against like Barcelona, for instance. He was getting stuck in. He wasn't backing down. The kid is still young, and so I like what I see from Lewis Hall a lot. Let's see here. Hasib says we paid on the higher side for Luke Shaw. Yeah, he has been. The problem with Luke Shaw, he's only been fit for about 6 of those years. So, like, if you look at how many matches he was here for versus how many he actually played, it's literally like almost exactly half. And again, that's not his fault. He's that leg break really put a damper in that. But yeah, he was at the time. I forget what we paid for Luke Shaw, but it was like a record fee for a teenager in Premier League. And so I adjusted for inflation. It's probably right up there. And so it is what it is. You guys know I don't get too bogged down by the actual fees themselves these days, simply because of amortization. Like, we made money on Rasmus Højlund. You got to start looking at transfer prices like houses, like having a mortgage on a house. Just because your house costs $300,000 doesn't mean you paid $300,000. You got a mortgage on it. You put a down payment and you make mortgage payments. And if you sell it for a bit later on, you'll make money. It just is. That's just the way it works. So even if you sell it for less than you the listing price that you got it for, right? So it's weird. I know it's weird to think of transfer fees in that way, and I don't blame anybody. Like I said, I've only started really kind of talking about it that way because I'm trying to get everybody to kind of start thinking in that regard. It doesn't help that journalists and whatnot still talk about it. Like I've listened to Talk Sport the other day on driving. I don't know why, you tell me, but they're like listing off all the money people have spent, and I'm like, well, it's just not the case. Nobody's spent that much money because everyone's only spent the down payments, the first payment installment on the players. So it's not like people have spent that much. If you think Chelsea just flat out handed Aston Villa a check for 117 million for Morgan Rogers, like that's just not the way it works. But yeah, Fernandez definitely wasn't committed, and I don't expect players to be 100% committed to United. I think United want to because it helps us a little bit in negotiation, probably helps us save a little bit of money in wages. I get it, but you're naive if that's where you start your process as a club. I think that's just ridiculous. I don't think anybody would it openly admit that they like just not take more money to go to another club. Like if you're had two rival businesses offering you a job and one paid more, even if one was your dream, you'd probably go and take the other one because it's more money you're cared about. I get it, it's just part of it. So Steve says Mateus is best with basically what Yori is. Yeah, I do think Yori is a good pickup. I think that's a really shrewd little signing. Like I said, it's like it reminds me of like that Christian Eriksen type signing or that Nemanja Matic type signing. A little more experienced player, someone who suits a role. The question is, are we even looking for a third midfielder? And if so, what the profile? There's still some big ones out there that I think would cost a lot of money. I think obviously Chouameni would be up there. Adam Wharton would be up there. It sounds like Alex Scott could be another one that Bournemouth would demand a little bit more money for. And then Baleba is still sitting out there. All these players are the cheapest one's probably going to be 50, 60 million. So those are probably the more expensive options. There are other ones out there. Like I don't think Sander Berge, if we were looking at Sander Berge, is going to cost 50 million. I think that would be like another 30, 35 million, in my opinion. But again, Lewis Hall had a chance also to go to Chelsea. He reportedly rejected Chelsea, who also just signed Valentin Barco. By the way, like I said, I called it a couple weeks ago when Valentin Barco was at Strasbourg and Chelsea sold Cucurella and said, well, anytime I see a player go to Strasbourg, I just assume they're going to be joining Chelsea in a year or two. Barco obviously didn't pull up any trees when he was at Brighton, but we'll see. I think Chelsea are just going to sell him and make money like in a year. I don't think he's going to play a whole lot. So if we don't sign that third midfielder, it is pathetic. I think we do need a third midfielder. I'm not buying this whole Mount thing. I think this is lazy journalism. These journalists trying to say maybe they'll see Mount as that third midfielder. It's just because they're looking at what we've seen done during preseason. I honestly don't think the journalists have any clue what's going on in United right now. It's insane. If it's a bit refreshing, and I get it. Everyone's frustrated. I think that, like we've talked about, nature abhors a vacuum, and so with all this emptiness, this kind of mystery, and there's not really been any activity for a week or so, a little more, almost 2 weeks now, people get frustrated. People tend to fill that with negativity, and that's just the kind of content that we're seeing right now, which is also why it's not as difficult for me to take a break for a couple days this weekend, because honestly, I got to stay off YouTube when there's like a lull in the transfer activity. But there's been a lull in transfer activity for a lot of clubs, so everyone needs to keep that in mind as well. Not many clubs, especially Premier League clubs, are doing a ton of business. Again, you can't count City and Chelsea. You can't count the clubs that have cheated, that are under investigation for cheating, that are just clearly don't care about regulations or rules at all. Like you can't count that kind of stuff. Like if you do, that's a weak argument to stand on. Spurs have probably done most business, but Spurs they're desperate and they've definitely overpaid, and they definitely circumvented some financial rules with this whole Vuskovic Van Hecke deal, because neither of those players is worth 50 million, by the way, but it looks good for both clubs to say they got 50 million coming in. And they don't have to declare 50 million going out because that's not how transfer fees work. Ian still believes we'll sign 3 more players. He says Lewis Hall, Ollie Watkins, and Baleba. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I would be a little... They're all good players, and Baleba, I think, is good for rotation. I don't see him as a starter right away. Ollie Watkins, I wouldn't say no to either, but I would... I would be a little underwhelmed if we had this best in class recruitment structure and we're just signing, more Premier League players. You guys know I don't buy into the Premier League proven thing as much as a lot of people do. It doesn't mean I think I'm right. I just think it depends on the player because we've seen players move from within the Premier League to another club in the Premier League and they don't do well. We've seen players come outside the Premier League into the Premier League and do very well. I think it just depends on the player personally, but it is what it is. But I think like again, 60 going up to like 70 potentially in add-ons. And I think you throw in Harry Amos. He's got a year left on his contract. He could be used in this deal, as a make weight. Like you guys don't have to necessarily go out and just buy a brand new player. You can get this young English talent to replace the young English talent we're taking, and it's fine. But I do think that any youngsters that we sell right now, we need to have a sell-on clause. We need to have a buyback clause. We need to start pulling a Real Madrid. I don't even care if we go full-on dick move like Real Madrid did with Nico Paz and exercise the buyback from Como and then force Como to buy him again. Like that's some shady stuff right now. I also still would not say no to a cheeky bid for Alvaro, by the way. Madrid brought in Cucurella. Mourinho, I mean, he either loves you or he hates you. And I think I would just rather bring Alvaro back personally. But it is what it is. But the market is also nuts right now. So all bets are off when it comes to what you guys can expect to pay. Yeah, Ian, I mean, there's no problem thinking what you think and having your opinion, man. Just everyone's allowed to disagree. Personally, no one's saying it's a bad thing. I think that you could argue three signings. You can argue left back, striker, center mid, and 10 different people could give you 10 different combinations, and I think they'd all probably be sound. And I think that just shows you that there are a lot of options out there. It really just depends on the profile you're looking for. Like if you're looking for a more attack-minded left back, maybe you get someone like a Maxi Araujo. If you're looking for a more experienced striker versus a younger striker, that could be a difference between an Ollie Watkins or a Mateta versus like a Tresoldi or something. Like a lot of options out there, and honestly, all of them are very good. I just realized that we're like a month away from FC 27, so I probably just need to stop playing career mode in FC 26 and just wait till that next one comes out. Danny agrees, 60 mil, 60 mil, some add-ons, and Harry Amos, and I think that could easily get it done. I think that's going to save Newcastle some money. Looking for a replacement left back. Livramento is still there, by the way. He's just injured, so he'll be right back too. Did they replace Kieran Trippier, by the way? I know they sold Kieran Trippier, and he went to Wolves, I think. I don't know if Newcastle signed a right back. Again, it's not my club, so I don't follow it too closely. But if they did sign a right back, someone let me know. But they've still got Livramento there. Dan Burn obviously plays left back for some reason. I think they just use him for the height, personally. But I think Harry Amos could do well there. But it couldn't. It might not be Lewis Hall, personally. Miguel Delaney, who you guys know I don't rate Miguel Delaney too highly, but I just want to talk about this because I want to get your thoughts, because he chimed in this weekend as well, and he claims on the left back front, United might also be ready to look at Miles Lewis Skelly again if this whole Lewis Hall thing doesn't pan out. Not the first time we've been linked, obviously, seen maybe as a backup option if Hall is just completely off the table. Again, Hall is really going to have to put in that transfer request, I think, to give us a decent shot. But Lewis Skelly, I don't know what you guys think about Lewis Skelly. Backup option. I don't think that being called a backup option to Lewis Hall means you're a bad player. But I think he's very good. Obviously, I put him in my top 21 under 21 video. My top 21 players under 20 or under 21. But I think he's not a left back. He's been played there, but he's not a left back. He's a midfielder who is shoehorned as a left back, but they also get around it because he tucks in centrally when in certain scenarios for Arsenal. So he kind of takes up a center midfield role based on how they play, which, again, you see that in a lot of modern football these days, that fullbacks will tuck in to get involved. I think that he's a center midfielder. I wouldn't sign him and look at that as our left back. But I would take, like Dan said, maybe take him as the third midfielder option. Maybe if we could do a swap on paper, like Rashford goes, we bring in Lewis Skelly, I'd be happy with that. Like, bye Rash, see you later. I like Lewis Skelly. I just don't like him in the left back role personally, because I just don't. He's not a left back. So it is what it is. But yes, you get Lewis Skelly, you get another young English kind of. Again, we do have that the homegrown stuff potentially to worry about if we start selling too many English players. We are four English or homegrown players, I should rather say, away from maybe three or four away from maybe falling like right on the line, because you have to have eight in your first team squad, and we think we have like 11 or 12. I can't remember now off the top of my head. I broke it down the other day, but Ahmad counts now, but and Darlow counts, so that helps. But we would need to keep an eye on that. Again, just something to keep in the back of your mind moving forward. But what do you guys make of Lewis Skelly? I don't watch a ton of Arsenal unless we're playing them, right? And of course, unless I want to laugh at them in the Champions League final. Oh man, I still laugh about that. I laughed mainly because of how hoarse my voice was the next day, because I laughed hard in that shootout. Almost, yeah. I didn't laugh as hard when Brazil tied with Morocco, and it was mainly down to Allison and Gabrielle messing up. I laughed so hard that this Brazil guy wanted to fight me, but it is what it is. But Lewis Skelly, again, not a left back, so I don't see where the whole backup option to Lewis Hall thing comes from. I think people look at him playing at left back and they're like, there we go. That's like saying, like, oh, we don't need a center mid because Mount's playing there. Mount's playing there because it's preseason and we don't have all the players back. Yora was playing as right back because it's preseason and we don't have any right backs back right now. So it's not, let's all just chill out. Again, I think there's been a lot more lazy journalism going around this summer than I've ever seen before, and it's really annoying. It reminds me back to the times like when the guys like Ronald Koeman would go to like Barcelona, or when we signed like when we appointed like Louis van Gaal, you just get linked. Like Koeman got linked to so many Dutch players when he went to Barcelona. Like every Dutch player he's ever coached, like Koeman got linked with, and that's what they'll do. When Ten Hag came here, and the club was signing some Ajax players. Every player linked that's ever played under Ten Hag, we got linked with. Same with Amorim. It was all about what players we're going to get from Sporting. Like, who said we're getting anybody from Sporting? Let's just chill out, you guys. Let's see. Ian says, I'd much rather have Sander Berg than Miles Lewis Skelly. Yeah, I like Sander Berg. I'd honestly, if we're just going for like mid to late 20s physical midfielder, I'd rather just go get Anton Stack. I think that he has captain written all over him, Anton Stack, and I think Berg is good as well. But again, you're looking at replacing Tielemans and Berg in a couple years probably as well, and you're right back to where we started. I'd like to maybe future-proof the midfield a little bit in some regard. We do have some youngsters coming through, but I'd like to have someone who's going to be in their mid-20s by the time those youngsters start trickling in as well. But I do like that. I don't have a problem with Lewis Skelly. I just don't think he's a left back, personally. Yeah, he's good. He's not bad. Obviously, he was in my top 21, under 21. I think he's an absolute baller, but he's just not a left back, unfortunately. But Arsenal aren't necessarily known for nurturing the youth either, so it's not as if, I think Arsenal kind of see themselves as that, like Timu City, where they just, they don't have to do that kind of thing. What's the point of having Dowman's coming through, and he's probably been their brightest spark since Saka. But even Saka, I've never got the hype with Saka. Like, I just think that he's too injury prone. Obviously he's good. He's just injury prone. So it is what it is. But he's not as good as I think Arsenal players want everyone to think they is. But do I think Vinny is going to North London? Potentially. If Arsenal better win the league if they sign Vinicius Jr., I just don't know. This to me, again, we were linked to him the other week too, and it's just convenient that he's entering the final year of his contract and all these random links are popping up. It's not the first time that we've been used in contract talks. Sergio Ramos did it in the past. I would say I would bank more on Vinicius Jr. signing a new contract at Madrid than I would Arsenal signing him. They just signed Christophe Solis too. I don't know if they're going to turn around and drop money on Vinny Jr. I don't want Vinny Jr. I don't think he's a bad player. I just don't like those toxic personalities, those diva personalities, personally. Hasib says, ain't Stack like 28? I thought Stack was like 26, 27. We're going to do a Stack verification. While we're doing this, you guys, please make sure you like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. We are on the road to 5K, you guys. Check out those memberships too when you get a second. We just started a new segment. Yeah, he's 27. He'll be 28 in November. Anton Stack. We just added a new section to the show that you guys saw the other day. The Would You Rather. Starting 11 and Legends members can get involved in that, contribute their own Would You Rather. I did put it up as a poll too on the channel, but the question was, would you rather have won the 2012 Premier League, the 2012 Premier League or the 2011 Champions League? Remember, we lost that 2012 Premier League on goal differential because City clinched it against QPR on the final day. And the 2011 Champions League, we lost 3-1 to Barcelona. Now, it's honestly surprising to me that most people have voted for the Champions League. I think a lot of people see the Champions League as the pinnacle. I've never felt that way personally. I think that the Champions League has been steadily diminishing in quality over the years as it's expanded. And I think that the fact that it's like the NFL. You can win the Super Bowl in the NFL without playing like half of the teams in the league. You don't have to play the toughest teams in the Champions League. You get a good draw, a couple good draws, and you could walk it to the final. You can't hide in the Premier League. You got to play everybody. You got to play everybody twice. So I'm always going to go for league over Champions League. So, but yeah, that was an example of a would you rather. So check out those memberships when you get a second, guys. There's lots of good kickbacks to you guys as a big thank you for getting involved in that regard as well. You'll find the link to that in the description too. What do you guys say? I don't know who Meghan Markle is, Ian. I don't know who that is. Sanjay's in the house. Big up, Sanjay. Good to see you again. Hope you're having a good day. Rickamank says, what's your take on Samuel Dahl, the Benfica lad? Isn't that one we were linked to earlier, like late in the season? I want to say like April, May. He's young, isn't he? I would be hesitant to target any young, like teenage left back when we've got Harry Amos. Now, if we're looking for someone who's ready, I just don't remember how old Samuel Dahl is. Let me have to go look up. I want to say, wasn't he super young? Let me see. Oh, he's 23. He's older than I thought he was. Why did I think he was young for some reason? The young Swedish guy. I remember the links. I'm not sure where the links came from personally. No, he's good. He's. I think I gave up on it when we were linked because Mourinho was still there, and I just assume that if we want a player at a club that Mourinho is at, that he's just going to make it infinitely difficult to get a player out of that club, even if he doesn't rate the player. I feel like Mourinho would rather keep a player and just let him rot on the bench than to give any player to United, personally. I haven't watched enough of this Portuguese league this season. I definitely haven't watched enough of Benfica. I think when Mourinho was there, I just didn't care that much. But you let me know. I remember us being linked. I don't remember much else after that, though. But let me know what you think about Sammy Dahl. He's older than I thought he was. I think there's probably another left back that I'm thinking of. Maybe it's is it the Dortmund left back that I'm thinking of? I can't remember off the top of my head. Sanjay says we should not worry about the transfer fees. I think to an extent, the club is got a boundary on, but I think that boundary is different for every player, the same as the wages are going to be different for every player. I don't think that the transfer fee is going to be as important because you're really just looking at the installments, right? But again, if a player's good and they're here for a long time, like Elliot Anderson, City contract, that's going to be $200 million if he sees out his entire contract between the fee and the wages. They're giving him $300K a week. They paid $117 million. That's going to be a £200 million contract when it's all said and done. And if they extend it, it's going to be even more, like quarter of a bill, maybe potentially, for Elliot Anderson to be at City for 6 or 7 years is a heavy investment. And if you're not winning things, I mean, look at Jack Grealish, $100 million. He got outscored in the league by Fred his first season at Man City. Like, nobody talks about that though, right? Because they got a treble. Was Grealish super involved in the treble? No, not really. And they replaced him with Doku like 2 years later. So City do that. And that's why, I mean, don't look to City as an example. They can Pep just decides, I don't like this player anymore after a year. Let me go get another one. They spent $250 million on fullbacks one summer. They had $200 million on players on January a couple years ago that, like, the one who sees the most minutes out of all those players has been Kushanov. And those other players they signed, they don't even rate that highly. Nico Gonzalez, Marmoush, and Vitor Rice has not even really kicked the ball for them, and they signed him that winner too. It's absolutely nuts, the kind of things and it's a joke. And we talked about this the other day. It's an absolute joke that City are just allowed to keep doing this, and this freaking case is dragged on, man. It's absolutely nuts. I hope that the whole Chelsea thing that came out the other day helps put a little more pressure, but honestly, what does that do? Chelsea won't care about a £10 million fine and suspended transfer ban and potential points deduction that they appealed, and now it's got to get reviewed again. They don't care because they're just continuing to sign players, potentially win some trophies. The Club World Cup and the Europa Conference League do not count as trophies, by the way, but Chelsea will like to pretend they do. They get a big gold patch on their shirts, and they'll like to pretend they're world champions. Absolutely. Like, how tin pot can you be, by the way, to consider to call yourself world champions because of the Club World Cup? Nobody even cared about the Club World Cup up until a few weeks before DAZN offered to broadcast it and brought an £80 million prize to the winner. No one cared about it before that. No, literally, absolutely no. It had no broadcast rights up until right beforehand. It's an absolute joke. That club's a joke, man. Steve says, aren't you American? I haven't watched the NFL in 13, 14, 15 years, man. Like, I just haven't. I'm not, you guys know, I'm not a sports guy necessarily. Like, I don't watch other sports other than football. I'm a crazy football guy. I watch probably too much football than is necessary. Really, a normal person should. I should probably get tested. But, yeah, I don't. I mean, NFL is crazy. If you look at some of the contracts in the NFL or like Major League Baseball, it's absolutely insane. Like, absolutely insane. Yeah, I mean, I'd still probably rather get Lewis Hall and I'd still probably go for Alvaro and bring him back than go for Dahl personally. But it is what it is. Yeah, Sace is another good shout, Dan. I do like Joaquin Sace as well. I've scouted him a couple times on the channel. Yeah, if you're asking me to be in tune with UK royalty, you're just asking the wrong guy, man. It's not. Again, I'm not really up with politics and geopolitical situations and all. I'm just not. I've only got a certain amount of time in my day. I only got a certain amount of hard drive space in my brain. I I dedicate a lot of it to football and the family. So it is what it is. Big up Jim's in the house. Alex says, do you think this team that we have will be sustainable through the competitions? Well, you bring me to my next point. You might have hacked my computer. Because that is my big question. Is the squad ready for Champions League? And I wanted to ask you guys how you're feeling about the window so far. Is the squad ready? I'll be honest. I'm going to get Miles Lewis Skelly off the screen right now because no one cares anymore. I'm a little less concerned about signings than I am about the readiness of the current squad to balance four competitions and go toe to toe with the big guns in Champions League. Remember, we're in pot 2 in the Champions League draw, which means we'll be playing 2 out of the big clubs in the league phase, the clubs like the PSGs and the Real Madrids and the Bayern. We're going to play 2 of these guys. It's not going to be fun. And so the question, again, Alex kind of led me right into my next slide here, is how ready and capable do you think the current squad is with that kind of notion in mind? Is there anybody in the squad, any position in the squad that you're kind of concerned about? I'm going to tell you right now, left back is concerned, not because I don't think Luke Shaw is good. I always have doubts over Luke Shaw's fitness. If Luke Shaw gets injured, now we're looking a little hard because Dorgu hasn't been played at left back. I think he can do it, but as right now in his development, I still question whether or not he's good enough defensively off the ball, because again, he hasn't played there in a long time. He's used to playing left wing these days and right wing against Newcastle, for instance, when he scored that winner. I worry about that a little bit. Midfield, big concern. Bruno goes down. Who's taken over adequately in the 10, right? And Shesko's injured. Now we're forced to play Xerxes, who's not great. Cunha can. If Shesko's injured, honestly, the most adequate replacement is going to be Cunha right now. We saw him play as that false 9 for Brazil, scored bangers. I don't want Mbumo playing there. It's a dangerous little situation we find ourselves in. I want to know what you guys think there. Jan Kato. No, Jan Kato plays on the right. Dortmund have a young left-sided player. Now you're going to force me to look it up. I know there's this teenager left back that I was looking at, and I can't honestly just remember who he plays for. But what you guys think about the squad's capability to balance these competitions right now? Hold on, I'm gonna find it because this is gonna bug me now. Because you guys know how much I get bugged by this kind of stuff. Oh, maybe he's not at Dortmund. Maybe it's Bayern. I don't know anymore. Who knows anything anymore? Now Yankato, I did a scouting report on Yankato. He plays on the right hand side. I did a scouting report when I was looking at wingbacks. When we were looking at wingback options. Um, Dana thinks the way it stands right now, I'll be lucky to get top six. I mean, the way it stands right now, I mean, the biggest miss comparatively to last season for why we got to third place is probably Casemiro, honestly. Casemiro had his, from a numbers perspective, his second best season his entire career. From a performance perspective, the best we've seen in a United shirt by far. I don't watch enough Real Madrid to know what he was like through his entirety of his career there, but obviously he's a world class player and he had an amazing season for us as he rode off into the sunset. But he was a big reason for that. He pitched in with a lot of goals. Obviously, Bruno picking up 21 assists. The question is, will Bruno replicate that? I mean, probably not, but we'll see. It just depends on what else we do. Alex says he feels his window's kind of horrible because we turned down one player for injuries, yet we signed another player who's currently injured and sidelined. Well, reportedly, Tielemans is training, is he not? I don't think the injury they picked up was bad. I think it was just an injury and it just happens. But I don't think it's too big of a worry. Who did we not sign because of injuries? I'm trying to remember. Is there a player we didn't sign? There are a lot of players I wouldn't sign because of injuries. Like I wouldn't sign Camavinga or Manu Kone, for instance, because they pick up a lot of injuries. I wouldn't have signed Mason Mount either, but it is what it is. It's water under the bridge now. I can't do anything about it. I don't think Tielemans has a nagging injury. It's an injury he picked up during the World Cup, and it's just, injuries take time to recover. And I think he's about ready to come back. I thought I read he was in training, but I could be wrong. I don't remember now off the top of my head. But I don't think this team is ready as it stands, fitness wise, because obviously not everyone is back in training yet. And I don't think that midfield, as good as it might look, I don't think it's going to be able to go toe to toe with some of these players. If we line up against Real Madrid or PSG, for instance, that midfield could get embarrassed if we line. I mean, the defense with Licha, I don't know what his fitness looks like. De Ligt, I don't even count De Ligt as a United player anymore. De Ligt could be out for an entire calendar year at this point. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let's see, Pretas, is that? I can't remember now. I cannot remember, dude. Ederson, Ederson. I think the Ederson thing was the underlying injury that he picked up a while ago. I think that raised concerns, but again, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm happy with the midfield we have. I wouldn't have minded Ederson, but it is what it is. I just can't remember who you're talking about. I forgot all about Ederson. Honestly, like I told you guys, how quickly I move on from some of these things because there's just no point sometimes in dwelling on some of this stuff. Yeah, it must have been something going on with that too. Again, not all injuries are the same, right? If I break my ankle versus spraining my ankle, they're very, very different. So if you got a player who's got a sprained ankle versus a player with a broken ankle, and the clubs are looking at them for the medicals, the broken ankle might not be the one they go with, but the sprained ankle might find. So Tielemans picking up a little bit of a hamstring issue on World Cup duty versus whatever underlying meniscus issue that Ederson had. They're very, very different. So I'm not going to pretend I know the difference. I'm saying there must have been a clear issue there if the club walked away from it. So it is what it is. Tielemans ended up costing about the same, and I think that is a good player. Obviously, different player profile, so maybe that means look at what Ederson was and maybe go see what else. Because we got Andre Santos, though, so maybe that was the Ederson replacement. Brazilian for Brazilian. Who knows? But I do like the look of Andre Santos so far, but yeah, I am worried about that left back position. I am worried about the midfield as it stands, and I'm definitely worried about striker. Goals are important. Obviously, we spread the goals out a lot last season. We went heavy on the attack a year ago. Cunha and Bumo Sesko, each of them got, roughly 10 goals apiece or so. Bruno had some goals. Casemiro had a bunch of goals. So we spread those goals out a little bit. I don't know if the 20 goal a season striker is as vital. It would be nice to see Sesko start getting closer to 20, but I also would want another rotation attacker who can get close to double digits minimum, like as a striker. Like I don't think that's a big ask, right? Wanting some double digits. I mean, you're a goal scorer, that's your job. Xerxes doesn't do it. Xerxes not even hit double digits total for United goals since he's been here, and he's been here. This is going into his third year now. It's not good enough. So if we could sell Xerxes, I'd sell Xerxes. go get someone. I wouldn't say no to Ollie Watkins. I saw Calvert-Lewin banging in goals. I know some channels are big fans of Calvert-Lewin. I'm not a huge fan of Calvert-Lewin. I think he is very hit or miss. Tresoldi, I like. There are a ton of players out there, you guys. Troy Parrott's still out there, just with wanting a move away from AZ. We could go get Troy Parrott. I think he represents a good option as well. But let me know how you guys feel about the current squad and the window, and going with Champions League in mind specifically, not just overall, but with Champions League in mind, because we are going to be playing a couple of the big dogs in the league phase, and it could get dicey. I think it would be a big help if we can draw these teams at home, but you don't really have a choice in the matter. So it's kind of weird that there's no home and away anymore at the league phase. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but it is what it is. Alex says the problem with Tielemans is a nagging injury that's constant. Well, let's look up Tielemans' injury record real quick and see what we're working with. Tielemans injury history. You guys, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We are on the road to 5K. So the issue here, he's got some calf. The calf injury is the issue that is his biggest issue, but he's not missed. So last year he had a calf and an ankle injury, and he was out for a significant number of days. But he's been fine from March onward. And then 24-25, he had a calf injury that only missed 2 games for. 23-24, again, some groin stuff in 23-24. And that was towards the end of 23-24. And then a calf. So he's had some injuries. And last year was not a great year for him. But he seemed like he was fine until the World Cup hit. So, yeah. I mean, I hear you. You guys know I don't like injury-prone players. I don't like recurring injury-prone players as well. I think the price is not a bad thing, and I think the fact that a lot of the Villa fans are not very happy about selling Youri Tielemans gives me hope. But again, time will tell. 35 million for a 29-year-old who I probably would have rather have taken on a free when he left Leicester personally, but we missed that boat. It is what it is. Again, time will tell. Would he have been my first choice? Probably not. Am I frustrated with the signing? No. We still need another midfielder personally, but I think it's a really good signing on its face for what it is, and I don't think he's going to start every single match. Maybe he'll be fine. Who knows, injury wise? But I hear you. You guys know I don't like injury prone players. But the issue in the World Cup sounds like it might have just been a little bit of a one-off, but we'll see. Time will tell. And again, it's all going to be on Ineos. If they decided to pivot from a player and get Tielemans instead, and he turns out to get another calf injury or something, then it is what it is. You guys know by now I don't dwell on this kind of stuff. Once it's done, it's done. We move on, and only time will tell if it works out or not. It is what it is. DeBoss says Ederson would have been fine. Yeah, I mean, who knows? You never know if a player is going to be fine or not. Again, I'm not sure I'm not a doctor. I wasn't involved in the in the medicals for these guys, so I don't know what went on behind the scenes. Obviously, the meniscus is a bigger issue than a hamstring or whatever. Clearly, if the club thought that, but they also, the club also signed Mason Mount. That wasn't Ineos, though, that I guess signed Mason Mount, so I guess they get away with it there. But you guys, let me know how you feel about the club's capability and the squad's capability to handle Champions League, because right now it's looking a little bit dicey. Let's pivot here. Let's talk about some potential exits. While we're talking about the squad being strong enough, we've got potential exits coming up here that could see us potentially weaken a little bit, but maybe this could impact our position. So United may have found a buyer for Marcus Rashford. Barcelona didn't want to pay the 27 million. Nobody wanted to pay the 40 million release clause. Both amounts, honestly, were steals if you deep it, based on what he did for Barcelona. But still, hey, when your attitude is shit, life comes at you pretty fast, right? And nobody even wanted you for 20. Barcelona would rather go spend 100 million on 2 players than spend 26 million on you after you literally performed for them. It's bird in the hand for Marcus Rashford, and they still didn't want you, bro. Wages don't help, but I thought Aston Villa would have ticked a lot of boxes for Rashford. They play a system that suits him. They needed that role. He's already played there before. I thought that that was just a match made in heaven, but obviously they decided to go for another problematic former United winger in Alejandro Garnacho on loan. Maybe if Bayern sell Luis Diaz or PSG sell Bradley Barcola, he could definitely go there and rotate, but that hasn't happened yet. But all this brings us to is a report from journalist Rahman Osman, who has made this claim today that Fenerbahce are ready to reportedly break the bank to lure Marcus Rashford to Turkey in one of the biggest moves of the summer. Not the first time we would have seen a Premier League winger of this age bracket go to the Turkish league. You guys remember that, what's his face? Leroy Sané. Is he still at Galatasaray? I think he's at Galatasaray still. Fenerbahce in Europe. Who's the coach of Fenerbahce? Last time I paid attention to Fenerbahce, Jose Mourinho was there. We all remember how that went. Pretty much how every Jose Mourinho job goes. Who do Fenerbahce have? So they are in Europa. No, they're in Champions League qualification right now, Fenerbahce. So they could actually be in the Champions League, but he could get reunited with Fred, for instance. N'Golo Kante is at Fenerbahce as well. Who's this? Archie Brown, who we've been linked with, is over there. They don't really have a ton. Soyuncu, there you go. Blast from the past. Yuksek, who I've done a scouting report on. Let's see. Akturglu, I did a scouting report on him. Good little player as well. They've already got a player who's doing pretty well for them on that left-hand side, though, in Anthony Musaba. I don't know why they would want another one, but obviously Rashford's a high-profile move. That's interesting. Greenwood, that's right. Forgot about Greenwood, could get reunited. Now, I've also read reports that Fenerbahce are looking at Rafael Leao and Ismaila Sarr. I would really like Ismaila Sarr as a rotation option for a striker. Personally, I think he'd be a really good option, something different than what Šeško offers, a little bit more of a runner, keep that ball on the ground, kind of a Krupi-esque kind of player. Now, apparently Fenerbahce have also had talks with Leao, but they've failed to agree to a deal. Rashford, he can't stay at United. And that's just my opinion. Y'all can think about, y'all can have a different opinion if you want to. It's just my opinion. In my opinion, bridges burnt, personally. I think it's just time to go. I think it would make Ineos look foolish to just bring back a player that they backed Amorim by, forcing the exit. I think that would make them look like absolute idiots. But who said rival fans are doing Rashford dirty? That's hilarious. Yeah, like none of these rival fans would say the same thing about a player that they have. But again, rival fans are weird, man. Football fans are sometimes, they're just weird. I don't expect, like I said, I had no problem if it was Rashford's dream to go play for Barcelona. I don't have a problem with that. Like, I get it. It's if that's your dream from your little, like, that's your dream. Some players want to go play for Real Madrid. Some players want to play for Manchester United. I don't have a problem with that. I don't even have a problem with you asking to leave. I have a problem with the way that you did it. I have a problem with the attitude on the pitch. I have a problem with the nosedive in form as soon as you got a $300K a week contract. I have a problem with some of the behavior off the pitch as well. I have a problem with all of that. So if you would have just kept that all behind the scenes, went to Amorim, went to the club and said, hey, Barcelona are interested. They reached out to my agent. I want to go play there. I'd love to go play in Spain for been one of the biggest clubs. I want to do that. I don't have a problem with that. Behind closed doors. You don't give an unsanctioned interview with a journalist where you want to leave the club. It's just not okay. So that was the biggest no-no for me. Big up Luke Chapman, Northampton Town, back in League Two. Nice. Well, congratulations, my friend. The boss, we don't do great with selling, and the reason is because we pay players too much money. We just do. Like, I rattled off the list of highly paid players that have walked out of this club for free. Like, you can, like, again, it's just Pogba, Varane, Martial, Sancho, Casemiro, De Gea. Who else? Keep going. Rashford could easily do it as well. You guys back me up. You guys know there's more players, dudes. But we pay them too much, so nobody wants to take on the wages. Which is also interesting to me, though, when I say that, because I'm pretty sure Barcelona were paying the wages. So you could afford them last year, but you can't afford them this year. It doesn't make sense to me. But it is what it is. But we pay them too much, so nobody wants to take those wages on. And we shoot ourselves in the foot. This is, again, why for so many years, we have been hamstrung by, like, PSR. Because we're not getting money coming in from player sales. We just aren't. We buy a lot. We don't sell a lot. And it sucks. It sucks that the biggest club in the world is in that situation. But again, blame the Glazers, blame the Woodwards, blame the Murtaughs, blame the Arnolds, blame these guys who put us in this situation, who were like, Anthony, you're playing for Ajax, you're a 21-year-old Brazilian, you're on 20K a week. Let's give you 200K a week. Let's sign Jadon Sancho for 300K a week. Like, really? What was the plan there in 2 years when if he did well, like to give him 400K a week? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And again, these are the people who are making these decisions. Is the people who are making, like, it's absolutely embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. Kyle Lacey back in says add-ons will be important. Yeah, big up Kyle. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. But we'll see. I think Rashford needs to go. I think, again, bridge is burnt for me. You guys are more than welcome to have a difference of opinion. Nothing wrong with that. But for me, bridge is definitely burnt. But I I don't necessarily buy into the whole like Rashford's hindering our left wing. I don't think we're actually looking too hard at left wing. I think we're looking a little bit more at left backs. Personally, I haven't really been linked to a ton of left wingers aside from like Somerville, and that was a while ago. But I would, anything we get for Rashford's profit, get the wages off the books. Most importantly, because he's on a lot of money, that could save us some. Again, he's got to also take this all as a bit of a big chunk of humble pie, because when Barcelona didn't even want to spend 26 million, nobody took up a 40 million release clause option. Like, nobody wants you, man. Lower your wages, go to another club, and if you care enough about playing football, that's what you need to do. If you'd rather sit here and like just rot on the bench or sit there with your arms crossed because you're getting 300K a week, that's fine too. I don't think Carrick should just let him walk in this. He's got to earn his place, and I think that he's got to, if there's any chance at all for him even kicking a ball for United this year because he doesn't get his exit, he's got a lot of work to do. There's a big gap that he's got to cross to get back on side with his teammates, with the club, with the fans especially. And I don't think any fans, I don't think a lot of fans are going to be willing to bring him back. If I was one of his teammates, I'd be a little frustrated with him. Carrick really needs to draw a hard line in the sand as well. So, but I think for me, it's done. I'm not a big fan of Rashford anymore. Again, similar to Ronaldo. Ronaldo definitely put a black mark on his United legacy with some of the behavior that he did with Piers Morgan and whatnot. So it is what it is. But still, we've had some good memories with Rashford. And that penalty against PSG was a thing of beauty. So we all love it. Let's keep going because I'm done with this. Seen reports, speaking of Turkish things, that Altay Bayındır could be leaving. Now, the problem here is this report claims that it just could be a loan. I've seen a couple different sources say that Celta Vigo and Manchester United have agreed to a loan deal for Altay Bayındır. Now, Simon Stone claims that other clubs are also interested in Bayındır, so maybe if someone offers to buy him outright, they could jump ahead of Celta Vigo personally. I remember there were some Turkish clubs linked. Remember, we got him from Fenerbahce. He played, didn't really do that well. He had like one good match, if I remember correctly. But other than that, it's not been great career for Altay Bayındır. What is it with you Manchester United and keepers, by the way? They either stay here for a decade or we just don't really care about them after a couple years. We've seen a lot of keepers come and go, especially the academy keepers. We never, ever back academy keepers, man. Like, it's nuts. But we had guys like, we had Victor Valdez at this club, and the guy couldn't get minutes, man. It's nuts. It's just ridiculous. So we let every single academy keeper go, and then when it's time to try to sell the first team keepers, we can't give them away. Like, Bayındır, we could, if nobody like pay us $2 million, man. Remember, Onana is still a United player. Now, and Bayındır is going to be the same. We're going to have two keepers who are technically registered United players who are not going to be playing for United. It's because we can't sell them. It's embarrassing. If a loan does happen, if he does go to Celta Vigo, I hope that Vigo pay most of, if not all of his wages, because it's embarrassing that this is what we have to deal with. But he's only on about 35K a week, Bayındır. But again, he was always going to be a backup. We signed Caro Darlow for free. Tom Heaton's got an extension. Dermot Mee signed an extension, a new contract as well. So we have a lot of keepers. Obviously, Senelaman's cut short his vacation to come back early. Remember, Senelaman was only told to be back at the club today. He came back Friday. So, sold Kovar. Yeah, I'm still very upset about that one, Danny. Matty Kovar. He's not as good as Radic Vitek looks, but again, when you sign 23-year-old Senat Lamas, I think the writing's on the wall for Radic Vitek, man. Yeah, Dabasi, we still have oh no no on the books. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. Speaking of the exit door, so we got fresh off the reports, right? We talked about the other day that Tyler Fredrickson was joining Lausanne Sport. So he's kind of not at the club, but he is at the club. Apparently, we did put a nice little sell on and a buyback clause in there, which I think should just be the standard from now on if we sell any academy players. But Fabrizio Romano claims that Everton are interested in another United Academy player, and this time it is Ethan Wheatley. Romano says Everton want to sign United talented striker Ethan Wheatley, preparing a proposal to make a formal approach with United soon for the 20-year-old forward. I didn't realize he was 20. I like Wheatley, his attitude anyway, I should say, specify. I like his attitude. I like the energy. He presses, he harangues defenses, he harangues goalkeepers. He's just a bit inconsistent in front of goal. Even at the academy level, he's inconsistent in front of goal. Spent last season on loan. I think he was who was in Northampton Town? Was he at Northampton Town? I can't remember now. Middlesbrough, reported looking at Dangor, Harry Amos, and Vitek as well. So a lot of youngsters being talked about here right now. What do you guys think of Wheatley? He didn't feature recently because of the rumors that he could be leaving. He's not. He's definitely not the finished article. He's by nowhere near the finished article. Again, I think that even Cheeto is probably ahead of him in a pecking order if I was looking down the depth right now. Musa, I would probably put Musa ahead of him personally. But could go do well. Obviously, he's bulked up a bit. That's what happens when you get older. You get bigger. Does not at all look like the Wheatley that I remember, but that's okay. But yeah, go and play football. Again, not every player that comes through the academy is meant to be a starter for the first team one day. That's not really the plan. Everybody wants to, right? But it's not that's just not the plan. There's a lot of players in the academy. There's more players that go to other clubs from the academy than there are players that make it to the first team in the Premier League, let alone for Manchester United. That's just normal for the academy, no matter where you are. But the players get to develop. They get to contribute to the academy, fighting for trophies and whatnot. And, they get to, maybe someday get involved with the first team like some of the youngsters are doing now. I think Wheatley obviously got involved with the first team a little bit towards the tail end. Not this past season, the season prior. Remember, he was coming on. Bruno famously said, I've got 8 minutes to get you a goal. Again, I like him. I like his attitude, I like his energy. He presses. He's got a good fight in him. He's just, again, goal scoring wise, that's what I look for in these strikers. And it's just not consistent enough for me anyway. But again, just because I think that doesn't mean that that's the universal rule. But says Wheatley be a good player for Everton. Yeah, could. Whoever's in got there. Is Beto still there? Who else do they even have? I don't know a clue who Everton have besides Jimmy Garner, who I would still take back, by the way. I would absolutely love to have Jimmy Garner at the club again. Yeah, like Danny says, sell with a good buy-on clause. Yeah, we've got, again, Middlesbrough looking at Dangor and Harry Amos and Radic Vitek potentially. Obviously, Radic Vitek was like the championship player of the season for Bristol last season. Dangor is another one who's probably, at this point, probably not going to happen for him at United. It just is what it is. And then, Harry Amos. A lot of clubs are going to be looking at Harry Amos. We've already seen, reports that in championship clubs and even some maybe bottom table Premier League clubs are looking at him. Again, I would still use him as a make weight in a deal for Lewis Hall. Helps Newcastle not have to worry too much necessarily about replacing Lewis Hall right away. But yeah, like Danny says, get a few million for these guys if they're not in the plans. Get the good sell-on clauses, get the buyback clauses in there as well, especially if we sell Harry Amos or Radic Vitek, get the buyback clauses for sure. But are there any we're talking about the preseason and we're talking about youngsters. Are there any youngsters that you guys would like to see in and around the first team this upcoming season? We've got a peek at a lot of them during this preseason tour so far. Not everyone watches the academy. That's why I ask. You guys know we do a lot of academy content. But not everybody is. Just like the women's team, not everyone is, super interested, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But that just means you might not know enough. But maybe this preseason is the first time you're seeing them. So I want to know who you like. I saw Sekou Kone had a nice little performance off the bench against Basel this weekend in the Swiss League. Played about 25 minutes, 5 passes into the final third, 3 tackles, 7 of 9 duels. He only attempted 1 dribble and 1 long ball, but he completed both, so it's very good again. You guys know how I feel about when people mislead about stats. There's a certain account who is all about stats, but likes to put them in a misleading way by saying player completed 100% of successful dribbles. 1 out of 1 dribble. It's still a successful dribble, but saying you completed 100% makes it sound it's a little misleading. But very good cameo for him. It looks like they had a little bit of a shakeup at Lausanne over the last year or so, so maybe that means he'll get some more minutes as well. But it's important for him to go get those minutes. He's obviously going to be spending the year on loan. I do like that a lot. Let's see. Dan Gore, yeah, everyone, yeah, I don't know who is that new, because I just said that Middlesbrough were interested in him. Who could be looking at him? Let me know. Camison, Lacey, yep, Thwaites. I'd love to see Jimmy Thwaites get some minutes in and around the first team. Armour is actually looking a little better and better. When I watched him early on last season, I thought he was a little hesitant, a little cautious, a little passive, but he's looking better and better. Armour, a little bit of a Timu, like, not, I'm going to say Timu, maybe we'll call it a Harry Maguire regen. How's that? And he really, really bulked up. Armour, again, natural growth, but also he's looking much more dangerous on set pieces when we get corners and free kicks. He scored a couple of goals from set pieces, Armour. So I'm really liking what I see from him as well. But again, yeah, a couple of youngsters being linked with exits. Sekou Kone getting a really good cameo for Lausanne as well. More and more first-team players are trickling into Carrington right now. Bruno is back in training. Kobe, Licha, Cunha, Dallo, Mizraoui, all back now as well. So people are just trickling back in. Might not be ready for this weekend, but probably that next match as well. So who we got? PSG on Saturday, I believe, if I remember correctly. I think that's another earlier kickoff for everybody. And then I think there's one or maybe two more after that. So I forgot about the Leeds one. So we got, okay, so it's 11 Saturday against PSG, 2:30 next Wednesday against Leeds, and then that final friendly, which of course against Milan, 6 a.m. Saturday the 15th, and then a week later we kick off, I think, first match of the Premier League season, Saturday against Hull, 7:30 kickoff. Notice how we don't complain about the 12:30 kickoffs. Jurgen Klopp, take a fucking hint, buddy. But 3 more preseason friendlies. Probably going to see all the rest of these guys against Leeds and Milan. The Milan one's going to be funny because it is obviously Ruben Amorim. It's going to be freaking hilarious. Yeah, Danny's agreeing about Armour. Yeah, I wasn't convinced about Armour, but he has changed my mind. So I do like he's looking much. There was another one. Louis Jackson was another one I had high hopes for. I'm not sure whatever happened with Louis Jackson. He was on loan for a while and we brought him back, but I think he might be gone. But it is what it is. And then on a final note, we spoke a little bit about this the other day, but it sounds like Gianni Infantino has gained a couple more enemies in the fallout of his scheme to sell the World Cup to private investors. Both the Welsh FA and the English FA have actually now pretty much come out and opposed this whole scheme. The Welsh FA has declared that it has lost confidence in Infantino, so that sounds dangerously close to a vote of no confidence. Seferin has called for all remaining UEFA FAs to do the same. So not only have we seen reports that the UEFA clubs overall are against it, right? They're boycotting, but now there's actually calls for each of them to actually come out, the respected FAs to come out and declare, opposition as well. So this could get pretty interesting. You guys know I don't really rate the FIFA really highly as an organization. And again, UEFA is getting there too. And honestly, if the Premier League keeps going the way it's going with just the absolute toothlessness they've handled some of this Chelsea and Man City stuff, I might be going that way as well with the Premier League itself. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, it's just insane to me. I guess it's surprising, but it shouldn't be, how just the rich people think that they just know what's best for everybody, including the sport of football, which has been around long before Gianni Infantino and will be around long after he's gone and steps out of power. But, I mean, from the Sepp Blatter stuff to all this other nonsense with the Argentina FA and all this stuff, just international football in general, it's just I just never been that into it. I care more about the Under-20 World Cup than I did about this. I did a best 11 from the Under-20 World Cup this season. That's how much, FIFA is just a joke. This World Cup was a joke. Yes, financially it was very successful, but I think it's just overall it was an absolute joke. But we'll see. I think again, like we spoke about the other day, what it showed is how much money you can make from the World Cup if you just completely disregard it as a kind of historical sporting event and look at it as a just a cash grab and an opportunity to squeeze every little bit of commercial revenue out of any little pause in play, which is basically what happened. Um, but it is what it is, you guys. But I don't know. If anyone, all the Welsh guys, if Rob Taft's in the house, let me know how you feel about that. But yeah, I want to know your thoughts on all the things, the left back situation. I know, Danny, I know you don't think we're signing Lewis Hall. That's been nothing but Lewis Hall stuff for the last couple weeks. We'll see. I'm not sure what United would be waiting for if he is the number one left back target as has been reported. I'm not sure what is going to be kind of the trigger, I guess, to go ahead and make that move. Maybe it's just a matter of trying to convince Hall. Talks are planned. We've already reportedly spoken to his representatives, so maybe again, like the Mbumo, like the Shesko, like the Cunha stuff, just trying to get the player on side first. We'll see if that happens. He's already rejected a move to Chelsea, which is where he went to Newcastle from. So maybe he just moves on from there. I don't blame him, but Chelsea have already signed, left backs too. So I'm not sure where else Hall would go. I'm not sure why he would stick around at Newcastle when he could go to Manchester United. But again, Newcastle aren't going to make it easy. But again, at the end of the day, you get the buy-in from the player. You get the player to submit a transfer request. It does make things easier. Not easy, easier. Like there's levels, right? But I want to know your thoughts. What do you guys think about Rashford? What do you think about this preseason? Youngsters in and out of the academy, who are you excited to watch? And maybe we'll talk striker targets next time. We do have a kickabout planned. But again, like I said, my schedule is a bit up in the air for the next little hot second. Once I learn a little bit more, I can kind of give you guys a little bit of a heads up on that. But it's just it's not good, but we'll see what it is. But we have another kickabout planned. Ian and Dylan and I are going to sit down and we are going to look at all of Manchester United's number sevens. And we're going to look at some of the not so great number sevens, and we're going to rank the five, the big five, we'll call them the big five number sevens, the Cantonas, the Georgie Bests, the Ronaldos, the Beckhams, and the Brian Robsons. We're going to kind of, each of us is going to rank those, put them in order. So, and it's fun. Ranking's fun because everyone's going to have different criteria and whatnot, but we do have to trudge through the not so great number sevens to get there, right? Like the Di Marias and the Michael Owens and whatnot. And unfortunately, yes, the Mason Mounts, but keep a lookout for that one. I'd like to say it could be Wednesday. I cannot promise that it be weekend. What I will promise is that if it is, I'll give you guys as much of a notice as I can. But again, got other things going on. So until next time, you guys, thank you guys for stopping by. What did that poll end up being at, you guys, on the Lewis Hall situation? How much would you guys offer? So nobody offered more than 70 million. Don't have a problem with that. Despite, so Newcastle fans, if you're watching, all these claims about 100 million for Lewis Hall, like it's not going to happen. But most of you, 47% of you, so nearly half of the 19 votes have voted 60 to 70 million would be your best offer. And then it was split almost 25% each for 40 to 50 million and 50 to 60 million. I don't think you're ever going to get Lewis Hall for 40 to 50 million these days. Again, the market is nuts. If you're an English player in the Premier League, it's just you just add like 30 million. It's basically the United tax. Everybody's got to pay it now. But I'm going to end that poll there with you guys. Thank you guys for getting involved. Hopefully, if you had time to get involved in the poll, you also had time to hit that like button for me, please. You also had time to subscribe if you guys are new. Again, go check out the memberships as well, you guys. It's the best way to get involved in the content. You guys know I've got scouting reports lined up. I've got the next couple scouting reports ready to go. So members, starting 11 and Legends members, you can contribute to that as well. The Would You Rathers, again, there's a community post for members only. You can leave your suggestions for scouting reports. You can leave your suggestions for Would You Rather questions. We also have a WhatsApp group for starting 11 and Legends members as well. So make sure to find the link for that and jump in. Please don't share it. Please, I don't want to have to repeat myself. We had a big, long discussion about this yesterday, but please don't be an a-hole in the WhatsApp group. I don't mind disagreeing. I don't even mind criticism. I don't mind stubbornness. I don't mind narrow-mindedness. I don't mind any of that kind of stuff. I really don't. What I do draw the line at, because I think we all need to be respectful adults, is just name calling. Don't name call. It's just ridiculous. If you can't handle the fact that people have a different perspective or they disagree with you about something, especially when it's something as menial as football, like, and you're going to resort to just name calling, like, come on, like, give your head a wobble, like, seriously. But take it easy, you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.